Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg, episode 141. I know, it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. If you have watched every single Hanging with Mangg up to this point, I salute you. That's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. Today we're playing Disgaea 5 Complete. We're part way into the game, I guess. In the grand scheme of things, probably not that far. I've been recording a bunch of this. I think I have 6 videos recorded for this, for when I'm gone. So you'll get to learn more about it then. I don't know how fascinating the videos are, or how highly entertaining they are. There's a lot of dialogue to go through. It's kind of like watching an anime, but it's something for when I'm gone. I figure it's better than nothing, so it's a really fun game though. So that's all I'll really say about it. Anyways.
Where would you like to go, dude?
Hanging with Mangg, yes. Yes. So, on the Exploring series, Monday I uploaded the General Grievous video.
Hey, Zeroken!
Which did alright, I think.
You guys don't know when to give up. I don't plan on telling you guys.
I mean, Yoda has done really well so far. I think the Sith video is my most viewed. So it's hard for those kind of just lesser kind of characters and stuff to really reach those heights. But I think it did alright. I can't complain too much about it. Just a little bit. This week I worked on the Wookiees. Wookiees are pretty cool. I always like Wookiees, and yeah, a decent video, I think. Not anything crazy awesome or like holy shit, yeah, Wookiees, but you know, it serves its purpose.
Return to darkness.
The thing is, I didn't do it with the Wookiees, even though, like, I didn't make a conscious effort to do it with the Wookiee video. But really what you want to do nowadays on YouTube is you want to hit 10 minutes or more with your video. If you care about revenue, that is. If you don't care about revenue, obviously you can do whatever the hell you want. But if you care about revenue, you want to hit 10 minutes or more, because you want to hit 10-minute minimum, because then you can do an after video ad, which is pretty good. Obviously a lot more people are going to see the before video ad than the after video ad, which is, you know, depending on your demographics and things like that. It could be 50% of people see the before video, or, you know, 30%. Depends on how many people are running ad blocks and things like that, or where country they're from, because other countries don't get quite as much ad saturation because companies don't really care as much, and blah, 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 blah. After videos, obviously, are not going to be nearly as much, because not everybody makes it to the end of a video, unfortunately. But for the people that do get to the end of the video, especially people that just do autoplay or just leave it running or any sort of situation like that, it is definitely worth it to have after video ads, because it's free money. Like, it doesn't really bother anybody. The people that are really bothered by ads either have ad block already, or it's the end of the video and they'll just, they'll just skip off of it. You're not like waiting to see something, you're just sitting there. So really it's just for people that don't care about it at all. Generally, I don't have ad block on at all on YouTube, of course. And generally I just kind of leave YouTube running and sitting there, so I don't care about after video ads. So you can only turn on after video ads if you have a 10-minute or longer video. So it's kind of like the sweet spot to hit. That's why, a lot of people do, including me, of course, Patreon credits at the end, and they'll have like end screens and all sorts of things to tack on the end of the video to make it just a little bit longer and try to hit some points. Also, once your video is 10 minutes or longer, you can start to do mid-roll ads. So you can do ads in the middle of a video, as in actual video ad. It stops the video, goes to an ad, and then picks up the video afterwards. Now, obviously, these are a lot more controversial. Because, people don't really like to be interrupted in the middle of their videos by ads. I mean, this is something you have to deal with in television, and obviously it's a lot worse there because you have, multiple ads. You have minutes of ads. Whereas on YouTube, usually it's like 15, 20 seconds, something like that. But still, people don't really like it, especially, if a video is just 10 minutes and like a minute and a half of that is like end screen and credits and stuff like that. So really you have like an 8.5-minute video and you devote, 30 seconds in the middle of it to just cutting over to an ad. It's some amount of bullshit. So some of my videos now have mid-roll ads, some of the Exploring series stuff. Really, it's kind of like, for videos that are just like 10 minutes, 10.5 minutes, I thought that's pretty bullshit. I won't do that. But for videos that are 13 minutes, I was like, alright, I guess I'll throw it in there. I discussed it with Ziggy, I asked him his thoughts, and he decided that most people will not assume that I am responsible for putting ads and where they go. And so they'll just assume YouTube is continuing to fuck people over and blah 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 and ads everywhere and it's all bullshit, but it's not the Exploring series fault. And I probably agreed because before I got into YouTubing, I probably wouldn't have assumed that they were in charge of where ads go and things like that. But YouTubers do have quite a bit of control over when ads show. Not what type of ads, of course, but when they show. So, yeah, so that's kind of that. I mean, I wouldn't have done it. I mean, normally it wouldn't have been a big deal, but the adpocalypse is it hurts. It definitely hurts. So I figured any extra little pieces of revenue here and there, no big deal. And it's not like a huge deal. I mean, I guess I would say that it was kind of a compromise of my integrities for the sake of profit, which is not really a good thing. Because I didn't really want mid-roll ads, and that's why I held off on doing it on like all my 10-minute or longer videos. Just like the Morgoth video, the timeline video, like the longest videos that I did. Yeah, so, I mean, I doubt you'll have anybody actually complain about it. Again, because they don't assume that you're in control of it, but you guys get to know.
My strategy worked.
There's a lot of shit. Yeah, so, the Wookiee video I did not hit 10 minutes with. Although, I mean, if I had thought about it and was like, oh, I should hit 10 minutes, I mean, I easily could have thrown in some extra superfluous sentences, but I'm not that bad yet. I'm not that bad. Or, you know, I have the quote at the end. I easily could have just been like, you know, I could have just held the quote screen on for longer. But I'm not an animal. Anyways, that's the exploring series. We have, I believe, we have one video to go for next Monday, which is probably going to be about the Gray Jedi. Then I have my 3 videos for when I'm gone. And that's the Nazgul, the Elder Sign, and Boba Fett. And then when I get back, there'll probably be another Star Wars video. And then maybe we'll go to the poll. I mean, it'll be pretty quick after I get back because the Europe trip, I'm sure, is going to drain my funds. So we'll have to re-spark things. Yeah, so that's that. This is looking a lot worse for wear. On this channel, we finished up Bloodborne Unearthed Arcana today. Or not today, but this week. And that was good. That was good. My goal is to get everything done before I leave. I don't know if that goal is going to be accomplished because I don't know how long Prey is and I don't know how long the Surge is, so we're just going to kind of see how it goes. But now that Bloodborne is done, I can focus on the other 2 for this week. So there might be 2 streams of each of them if need be. Because that's kind of a goal. I also am obviously been recording stuff for when I'm gone, mostly Disgaea 5. I have another thing that I'm going to upload, and then I did want to record at least one other type of thing. We'll see how it goes.
My strategy worked. My strategy worked.
Yeah, that's pretty much that. We also had Dungeon World this week, which was the final session. I'll talk about that later. And then next week, maybe tomorrow, we're going to do the Sprawl. It's kind of up in the air. We'll see. Otherwise, you'll have to wait until I get back.
A shine that can only be seen from a skill without any wasted movements.
Yeah, I guess that's about it.
Accompanied by a gleaming, fiery aura and pathos.
So, for board games this week,
force and beauty into one.
we didn't do anything in person on Monday.
Ultimate demon technique.
Wow.
Well, really, board gaming was, I guess, kind of light overall, because we didn't do anything Monday. We were supposed to do it on tabletop, but that kind of fell apart. And then Wednesday, of course, was Dungeon World. We didn't do anything on Saturday, so not a whole lot of board gaming this week. Maybe not a whole lot at all next week.
The only impressive thing
But,
was your ability to
I mean, it's been all about Netrunner over here.
You're strong enough to fool
My mom and I played Netrunner,
can't pull the wool over Red Magnus's eyes.
yeah, I think pretty much every day.
Just so you know, your magic potential is the lowest out of all of us.
Which is
Are you truly
great.
an overlord?
I mean, at specific moments in time, perhaps I might say if I had to choose which to play between Netrunner and Cosmic Encounter, it might be tough. It might be tough. That's what I'm saying. I know Netrunner is not exactly a new game. Not anymore. And, you know, there's a shit ton of cards. But the nice thing about having like an offline kind of game, assuming you have another kind of friend or whatever to play with, is you don't need to buy all the cards. You don't need to be competitive in that sense. You can just buy the core set and one deluxe set or the new Terminal Directive kind of campaign. And you can just kind of do that piece by piece and you don't have to worry about too much. So we've been mostly playing with just the core set, and you know, it's been a hell of a lot of fun. The surprising thing is, though, I kind of suck at it. Like, she has won more games than I have, I think. Overall, it's either she's won slightly more or close to tied, but it's pretty competitive. And at first I just thought, okay, I'm a really shitty corp, and maybe it's really easy for the runner, but we switched, and then we both won, like, a game each. So I still lost as the runner ones. And, I mean, it's a lot of fun, don't get me wrong. The fact that it's so competitive and not one-sided is good. I'm just kind of shocked that I'm not crushing her, because that's generally how it tends to be. You know, we played Clank a bunch of times, and she never won a single game, so that's kind of how I figured it would happen, but not quite.
Where would you like to go, dude?
But yeah, Netrunner it's damn fine. It's a damn fine game. I mean, there's luck involved. There's obviously, there's card draw. The nice thing is you get to determine every turn exactly how much of your turn you want to invest into drawing cards.
Yes.
So, and, you know, the way deck customization works and things like that, and, you know, you can really kind of determine your own fate a bit more than you normally would in a game like Hearthstone or something like that. But then, like, you know, the runner is trying to capture certain cards from the corp, and so where exactly those cards are in the deck and in their hand, and, you know, there's the game, we played a game last night where I was playing as the corp. She was the runner. She went to my hand, at 3 points she went to my hand throughout that game, grabbing one card out of 5 randomly, and each of those times it was a point card. So that's like, I don't know, it's like a 5% chance of that happening throughout that game. And she won, because that's all she needed, 3 cards. She got 3 cards throughout the game, and that's it. I think partly of that was just kind of, I should have played better. I should have tried to prevent that after the first one. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely some luck elements, but it's hard to have a game without it. So, I mean, half the fun of Netrunner is, of course, playing the game, and the sort of the asymmetrical action between the two sides, the runner and the corp. You know, they're completely different. They have different goals. They have, you know, completely different cards and setups and all that kind of stuff. They play completely different. So that's part of the fun. And then the other part of the fun is actually deck building. You know, they have 4 different sort of classes, I guess you could say, for corp, and 3 different classes for runner.
So, what's the final plan, little
And, you know, I've talked about this before, but that was a long time ago, I'm sure. It's kind of like in Hearthstone, if you could play as a hunter, but then you could spend, you know, you could have a certain number of other classes cards in your deck. You know, you could have like 2 priest cards in your deck, or 3 warrior cards in your deck. Or you could have, you know, a warlock card, a mage card, and a shaman card, you know, and you could sort of mix and match like that. Like, that system allows for so much creativity and interesting decks to come about, especially as the card pool grows and grows. You get some really interesting combinations and stuff going on. It's very exciting. So that's the other half of the fun. So yeah, I'll admit that I've spent some money on some cards recently. They have yet to arrive, but I'm very excited. It was kind of stupid for me to do it right before I go on vacation, but I couldn't resist, so very excited. I got a really good deal on eBay. And I haven't bought anything off eBay in like 5 years. So yeah, it's just really good. That's all I can say. Guess we'll just talk about Dungeon World then. So when we started Dungeon World, where were we? Right, we were heading out of town. We were heading out of town where there was a couple people died, perhaps because of me. I mean, alright, one of them was directly because of me. Alright, really both of them were directly because of me, but that's besides the point. We were heading out of town. We had just made 15,000, we're really 20,000 gold pieces. We were heading to the coast, to a place called Port Agron, where we were going to buy a merchant ship, and from there we were going to determine our own future. Very exciting. And so we're riding out on horses. I'm riding out on Thomas, because he's a horse. Of course. And so, like the first night or something like that, we camp out, and people are keeping watch, and like this ghostly sort of phantom appears. Like they can barely see it, but there is definitely something going on. Yeah, this is where I don't actually have to play the game, because apparently they're all fighting each other. And the phantom, like, goes inside of Thomas. Like, he tries to, like, take him over. Which is probably not a good thing. This is movement +2. That's nice. And, He forces it out through sheer force of will, which is probably good. I don't know what would have happened otherwise, but that's good. And, he kind of deduced that it was because of some cultists, but we didn't know where they are, or, you know, if they knew where we were, if this was just some scout, or, I don't know. We have no idea. So we couldn't do a whole lot about it. But we pretty much decided to head out early in the morning to get out of there. And so we head on our merry way when we come across a bridge. Well, we come across a couple bridges.
Let's go.
Right. We come across a couple of bridges. The first one was the more notable one. It's this nice, sturdy wooden bridge. And on the other side of it, there's a group of men. Like, 10 of them. And, of course, they are there for the toll. We must pay the toll, otherwise we are not allowed to cross. And the toll was like 18 coins. And keep in mind, I'm sitting on like 16,000 or something like that at the moment. So it's no big deal to pay 18 coins. But, you know, you can't let that stand. You can't let some nonsense bandit assholes sit there and take your money with no fuss and no muss. Like, that's just... It's the principle of the thing. It's the principle of the thing. So my hope was, like, Ziggy had of course taken precautions. So they had all tied ropes to themselves and like attached it to nearby trees so that, you know, I couldn't just portal them off the cliff into the canyon and they die easily. So that was smart, I guess. That didn't save their lives, but it made it a little bit more interesting. Because my hope was, I think my hope was at first that they would all come out onto the bridge and then I would just throw the treasure chest full of gold at them and it would get big and they would all die and I'd be happy and blah, blah, blah. But they refused to even step onto the bridge, so I was like, alright, fuck these guys. So I portaled behind them, right? And so I'm gonna work on them from behind, and Thomas changes into like a mosquito, so he avoids being destroyed by a hail of arrows. Phil, oh gosh. Phil pretty much runs away. Like, the guy that was with us who was supposed to pretty much, like, look after our horses, and after we get to the location, he was gonna take the horses back to the town we came from. So he worked for the horse company. His name was Rolf. He gets shot by an arrow almost immediately, and his horse starts to, like, bolt towards the canyon or something like that. And Phil tries to save him somehow, but it does not work out. And so Rolf and his horse go off the cliff. And so at that point, Phil just runs. He just runs away. It's great. What a character.
There.
And, so Thomas, well, I pretty much, what I do for an ambush situation such as this, I split myself into two copies, which is my newest ability. So it's two identical copies. They both get all the powers and stuff that I normally have. And so I walk up, behind this group of like 10 guys or 6 guys. It was like 6 guys. And both of my copies, have combat knives. And so they just start just making little portals and just stabbing the group of 6 guys over and over in just this maelstrom of blood and guts and slashing and sawing and yummy. So I take out a good number of them, and Thomas goes up in the air as a mosquito and then changes into a boulder in the air and falls down on 4 of them, killing them. A few of them manage to run away, but yeah, I cut them all down but one, who I basically, I let him run away, and I was like, tell him what you've seen. Tell him hell's coming, and his name is Orion. And so then we just kind of looted the corpses, and Phil finally came back, and that was that. Pretty simple. We made money instead of losing money. Win-win.
Together.
Yeah. And then, so one of the bandits had like a map, I assumed, to like their stash, where they keep all their money from tolls, because they didn't keep it all on them. that's foolish.
Hi.
But keeping a map to your stash is also a little foolish, so there you have it. And so we head on the road, and we're gonna go find this stash because more money, it's good. And we get to this other bridge, which looks in way worse shape. And at this point, like, Thomas has changed into just a really big horse, and so both Phil and I are riding on top of him. And so we're just like, all right, let's head across the bridge, because, you know, Thomas can just turn into like a bird or a mosquito, and I can just reverse gravity, so I can just fly up into the air whenever I want. So falling is not a thing for either of us. But poor Phil, of course, level 1 bard. He has no abilities. Like, I don't know if he ever leveled up a single character at all, because he just died every session, so yeah, things weren't working out for him. And of course the bridge did collapse, and you know, he had to carry Phil across as a bird, so bummer, but all right. And so we make it across, and we go to...
Come on.
We go to where this little map indicates, which is like... It's basically like this little hidey hole on the side of the cliff. Like there was this ladder and this really thin, narrow platform, and again, like fall damage is no concern, so we're not scared.
My strategy worked.
This boss will probably be dead.
Trick.
Anyways, so we enter into this like little kind of, not a hut, it was like a carved out room, I guess, in the side of this cliff, and it had like a table and some beds and stuff like that, and in the back there were some chests. Oh, I didn't know that moved him. I wish it would tell me that it moves him. I kind of, well, alright. Pretty sure he's still gonna be dead. And so there's a couple treasure chests and some money on the table. So we scoop up the money on the table, which isn't a massive amount. It's like 70 coin. And then we pop open the chests. And one of them has, I think, more money. And maybe it was like a trinket or something like that. And then the other one is locked, and so I melt the lock using my star ball, of course. Pop open that chest, and inside there is a number of colored potions. Alright. Now I, of course, have flashbacks to, I believe, the Artemis campaign, when we found some colored potions, and most of them were good, but one of them instantly killed Murk. But it's just tradition. You can't play a role-playing game, like a fantasy D&D type game. You can't do that and find potions and then not drink the potions. It's just like a rite of passage. You gotta do it.
There, blasphemous fool.
So, we divvied up the potions. I took like kind of a murky gray looking one. Thomas took kind of a reddish orange type one. And then we gave the bluish looking one to Phil. So, you know, we're just like, okay, bottoms up. And Thomas and I started drinking our potions. But Phil did not drink his. So we drank ours down. We didn't die that second. And Phil had not drank his potion. So this upset us. So, I mean, we just kind of sat and like, you better drink that potion, man. And Thomas started to, like, kind of burn internally. Like, he was taking damage, pretty much. Like, it was not good. Nothing was really happening to me. It was just kind of dirty water, really. It may have been like an antidote for the potion that Thomas drank. But I was, for the most part, fine. And Phil is just not drinking. I'm like, you better drink it. You're gonna drink that potion. So he kept pressuring him, and finally he just like threw the potion at me, missing wildly, of course. And then he started running for the door. It's just like, that's not an option, man. So I made him run into a portal, of course, and then he ran off the cliff, because that's how portals work. And he fell to his death at the bottom of the canyon floor. And so he got to make a last breath roll, and he actually didn't die immediately. He got a death's bargain. And so the death's bargain that he got was drink the potion, the blue potion, or die. So it was really the same choice whether he stayed in the room or ran out. So he drank the potion, and he was brought back to life, but of course, like, his legs were shattered, and he was at the bottom of a canyon. And he learned that the potion was like a super moss potion that would have turned him into just this really blue creature over time. Thomas and I just kind of like shrugged our shoulders and flew up into the air and went on our way. And that's where the session ended. So yeah, another kind of campaign ending with Phil being left to die. And yeah, he kind of gets shit on, but I mean, you can't blame me entirely, alright? You just can't. He makes his own choices. Alright? I mean, he chose to get up on that stage with that strong man, and he chose to try to run away from the group instead of being a team player, and he chose to be the fake hostage or whatever from when we went into that prison, and he chose...
Killia, we did it. Getting Dragonfang to join us is a big boost.
He chose... Trying to think of how his thief died.
The leader of the rebel army has to be more assertive.
It's just so many deaths. How the hell did his thief die?
Wait, when did I become the leader?
His wizard died from the strong man.
With this many chaotic members.
So what was right before that?
Problem?
Being a leader isn't in my character.
Cave of Horrors, right? How did he... Oh, yeah. From the slime. He died from the slime. So he chose to...
Let's keep expanding our alliance, just like we did today.
You know, he chose the slime, definitely. I remember, because he was falling down. He was falling down slow. I had helped him out. He was falling down slow. And he could have either aimed for the big dead, like, tremor creature, or he tried to aim for, like, some far-off outcropping with a bunch of slime in between. And he made his choice. I did not force him to die. I even tried to save him, so you can't blame that one on me. He made all his choices.
You may be able to meet him someday.
Thomas and I survived all 8 sessions with a single character. We never died, and that's how it's done. So, he made his choices. Anyway, so... You know, a lot of the times we'll say, like, oh, we can come back to this campaign later, you know?
It's noisy.
Like, we left off at a good point. We can come back to this. We've never done that, ever. We've never come back to a campaign. And I'm not really sure that we're going to come back to this one. But I think if we did ever come back to one, this has, like, the best chance. Because we really didn't get into the meat of things yet. We had two characters that were long surviving, were leveled up, you know, had good prospects, had money. It was a good point to, you know, that we could keep going. It's a bummer for Phil because he would start again as a level 1 fresh character, but maybe Ziggy would cut him a break. I don't know. But regardless, the next thing we're going to be moving on to is the Sprawl, which of course I put out a video on, and very excited about that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So that will either start like, oh, I think Ziggy said that we're going to like finish character generation tomorrow, but not actually start something. So Character is like 20 minutes, so it seems like we'll start the Sprawl when I get back in July. Long time from now. Yeah. That's pretty much that. So final thing, I guess, is I saw Wonder Woman this week. And I guess there might be minor spoilers. I mean, it worries me, alright? It worries me that I am gonna really grow up to not really like movies. I'm worried that, like, Mangg's movies and doing all that just, like, fucked with my brain or something like that. Because, by all rights, I should really like Wonder Woman. You know, this is a critically acclaimed, very well received by, you know, moviegoer type film, 94% rating, 93% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, everybody is really praising this movie. And I didn't hate it. And let me be clear, this is definitely the best DC Cinematic Universe or Extended Universe, whatever they're calling it, film that they've put out so far. Now, that's not saying much, because most of them are not very good. I mean, you're competing with, like, Suicide Squad there, but it's the best one they've put out so far, and I think it does provide a promising future. But Wonder Woman, I just don't think it's as good as all that. You know, it's as good as people are making it out to seem, at least in my opinion. Now, let me be perfectly clear that I am definitely in the minority here. All of my friends really, really liked it. I'm sure if you have any interest in superhero movies, you will probably really like it. Part of it comes from me really not liking Wonder Woman as a character. You know, people shit all over Superman, right? I mean, you probably are aware of this. Superman has a lot of detractors that say he's really boring, he's just overpowered, he never really has to struggle with anything. This is not true, but this is what people say. But this is the exact same thing as Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is a carbon copy of Superman in a lot of ways. You know, she's a fish out of water kind of character at the start. You know, she's among people that, you know, she doesn't know their ways that much. She's kind of an alien in a sense, because, you know, she is a god pretty much. She is incredibly powerful. She doesn't really have to struggle that much. She has somewhat similar, you know, powers as Superman. And just kind of boring to me. Now, I'm not like, I don't read Wonder Woman comics. So don't sit there and, you know, telling me all the awesome comics she's been in and stuff like that, because I'm just talking about, you know, the perception of Wonder Woman and things like that. And then, you know, the Wonder Woman movie comes out, and really it's everything that I just told you. She is just she's like a fish out of water. She's pretty much an alien. She's very powerful. She never really struggles with anything. And she's just kind of milquetoast, in my opinion. That's the thing. I was just talking about that today. Like, she doesn't really ever struggle at all throughout the entire film. She's pretty much, you know, constantly perceived as this just gorgeous, super smart, super powerful, awesome lady with almost really no faults whatsoever. She's she's like Mary Poppins, you know. She's pretty much perfect. And she goes through the film, and she just kind of wanders from area to area, and she, you know, half of her personality is just really kind of innocent, naive. She doesn't really know anything about this modern World War I era world. And then the other half is just her really kind of pissed off, you know, I am woman, hear me roar. I need to get to the fight. Get me to the war front, and I need to help out and take care of things, and you can't stop me. You're just a man, and blah. You know, that's like two sides of her personality, and she kind of bounces between those two throughout the entire film. But she never, like, struggles. Like, there's no... I mean, for one, there's absolutely no relating to this character. I mean, maybe as a woman, I can't speak on that. Maybe as a woman you can relate to this character more, but for me, I cannot relate to this character. Which isn't always important, and it's something DC always struggles with. But, like, once she gets off the island and gets into the war and all that, she pretty much just, like, dominates every scene she's in. The fight scenes are just 100% one-sided until the final fight, in which, like, she gets thrown around a little bit, but she never, like, gets scratched. Her hair doesn't get messed up at all. She just stands back up and is like, all right, let's do this. You know, it's just... And I mean, again, I am running Wonder Woman comics, all right? I'm not all up to snuff on the comic side of it. So it is very possible that this film could have been done in a way where Wonder Woman is very different, and she definitely does struggle, and, you know, things like that. I just expect it as part of her origin, you know, when she's just starting out. You know, that's where most of the struggles would come in, you know, whether it's, you know, she really struggles with integrating into this new world, or she struggles to really learn her powers and anything like that, but there's none of that. Her biggest struggle is when she's still on the island of, whatever it's called, the Amazon island, and she's like trying to climb this wall, and she almost falls off, but she doesn't. That's like her biggest struggle in the film. So that's one of my major gripes with it, is just the storyline and the character and all that just did not really interest me. My other complaint is it just kind of dragged on. It felt too long, and it was a pretty emotional film, I guess, overall. I think when I walked out, I said it was like a chick flick of superhero movies. I don't know if that's completely accurate, but she does have a line at the end of the film where she's like, only love can save this planet, or something like that. And I was just like, Tony Stark would never say something like that. And I know they're very different characters. I'm just telling you, it's kind of there's emotional, a lot of that kind of dialogue and stuff like that, and that just doesn't really excite me in the superhero sense. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. I don't regret seeing it or anything like that. I just walked out and I was like, that was all right. Whereas everyone else, you know, all my friends walked out and was like, that was awesome. Yeah, Wonder Woman. And I was just not that ecstatic about it. I think it was definitely, like I said, it was the best they've done in recent years. And I think it does show promise that, you know, they can make a competent film. And that gives me hope for The Flash and stuff like that. But the fact that it was Wonder Woman, I'm not crazy about that, and there were flaws with it. Yeah, I wasn't crazy about it. So overall, I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. Instead of a thumbs down, I'm not gonna give it a thumbs down. I'm gonna give it a thumbs up because I think it, you know, it does show a promising future for DC. I think most people will enjoy it if they like superhero movies. And I think there may be something wrong with me. I'm not sure. So I'm going to be safe and give it a thumbs up. Yeah. So, I mean, go check it out, I guess. If you're interested in superhero movies at all. This is not another Suicide Squad. I would say this is not another Batman versus Superman. Although, comparing it to Batman vs. Superman, there were moments in Batman vs. Superman where I was like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. You know, there were moments like that. You know, when Batman had his extended scene where he cleared out that room full of goons, that was like a fuck yeah Batman kind of moment. There were a few of those in that film. Whereas in Wonder Woman, for me personally, not once did I ever think, fuck yeah, Wonder Woman. I mean, the action scenes were very competently, you know, filmed and stuff like that. There was a lot of slow-mo, which was interesting. There was one moment that was pretty damn close, even though it was like 4 seconds, you know. That was probably the closest you'd get to fuck yeah, Wonder Woman. Because it was just like really over the top. And it was just kind of like a reminder of like, yeah, she's Wonder Woman. She's pretty much Superman. Don't you forget it. I think if you're a fan of Wonder Woman at all, you'll probably completely love it, and you've probably already seen it. Fan of superhero movies in general, you probably like it. If you're not a fan of superhero films, I don't think it's going to change your opinion. There is just kind of a lot of superhero stuff going on. There's more romantic drama than superhero movie. Yeah, that's what I said. Like, it was kind of the chick flick of superhero movies. I feel like the final fight scene, I'm not going to really spoil it at all, but I think that really kind of shattered a lot of the tone that they were going for the most of the film. Like, most of the film, it was kind of like the chick flick, like, oh yeah, you'd take your girlfriend to see this. And then the end was just like this sort of very traditional kind of DC big fight scene that they've been doing. And so it was like, I don't know, that was probably not the director's first thought, but DC probably insisted or something.
Let's fix you up.
I don't know. So I guess that's all I'll say about it. It wasn't bad. It wasn't exactly my cup of tea, but most people are liking it and will continue to like it. And if the Flash movie is as good as that, I'd be happy. Okay? Because I am kind of expecting the worst for the Flash film. Especially with all their directors and all that kind of stuff. They're having a lot of trouble, and I don't care for who they got to be Barry Allen, and, you know. So, if I go walk out of the Flash film and I'm like, that wasn't bad, I'll be pretty happy. I mean, obviously, I'd prefer it to be like, fuck yeah, the Flash! Ah! But I'm readying for the worst. Yeah, after Suicide Squad. So, alright, so that's all I'll say about Wonder Woman. Thumbs up, I guess. Alright, so I guess that about wraps it up for today. Check out the Wookiee video tomorrow on the Exploring series. We've got some more Prey and the Surge coming up this week. And that's probably going to be about it. I might take a couple of nights off just for other stuff I've got to do before I leave. And next Sunday we'll do the last Hanging with Mangg here before I leave. Next Sunday is also, I believe, like the first day of E3, so pretty exciting stuff. But my name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg, and I'll see you fine folks next week.